as you've seen people try to bridge that gap, right, between force-free and balance training, we'll just say, right? Yeah. Are there things that you have noticed that have been frustrating to you?
Oh, for sure. I think as it goes, it's like you're trying to make emotional arguments or you're trying to make rational arguments with emotional people. I think it doesn't matter what side you're on, that always will mess things up, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point someone starts yelling or starts crying and then starts saying like, they're dying. And then all of a sudden the argument's over, right? So I think the over politeness, the deflection, over politeness will lead to the deflection.
Yeah.
I think it creates a lot of space for deflection, but then pushing too hard will create combativeness, you know? So that dance gets annoying. And honestly, the only real conversations I think you can have with someone of a different opinion is if you truly want to understand each other, right? And a lot of times, like, there's not going to be, you're not changing Susan Garrett's mind, you know, you're not changing Ivan's mind, you know, you're not going to change them. So really now it's just a matter of like comparing, you know, theoretical wieners and just the size of them. And
I haven't heard the term wiener in such a long time.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know. There's that gets annoying. I think to your point, it's an extreme, but I think it's necessary because they're trying to stay cordial and they're trying to stay polite. And the only real way is like, all right, you're going to sit with me, I'm going to sit with you, and we're actually going to try to understand each other's point. And I think that's I'm going to probably veer off in a different direction, but like, even as a young dog trainer, I remember just having a belief and not being able to explain my other side's point.
Yep.
And so once I cut that shit out and I'm like, I'm going to make your argument for you and tell me if I'm correct. And if I can do that, then that means I'm actually trying to show empathy and trying to understand you. I can still disagree, but I can understand where you're coming from at least, you know? And a lot of trainers and people aren't doing that. And that's just that's how the current state of humanity is in general, which is a whole different topic, but yeah, you that will only get solved if we really actually want to understand each other.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say our girl over at Proper Paws, what's her name?
Taylor.
I like the name, Proper Paws.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, Taylor, we had her on a couple times, and it was before. Now she blew up. Like she got IG famous, but
Oh shit! Maybe we're gonna blow up.
Yeah, maybe. No. It was all us for sure. Definitely no. You know, she's a positive only trainer, and those were some of the best conversations because both sides. You know, we came in open minded. She came in open minded. We had discussions on the different ways that they both train, and it was just an hour and a half of just great conversation of people understanding, like, you know, we are trying to do the same thing. Yeah, we do it a little different, but that's okay. Like, it works for you. This works for me. And it was so nice to, like, you know, right now, I barely say anything because I just get enthralled by all these dog trainers talking, you know? So I was just sitting there. I was like, man, why couldn't this just be the norm, you know?
Well, the interesting thing about that, so she's very into Susan Garrett, right? So that's like her kind of idol dog trainer. So she uses Halties and stuff like that, which whatever, we could debate how force-free that is or not. But regardless, right? I first found her because some of her videos were starting to go viral and she was posting really, really phenomenal before and after videos, right? Of like very reactive dogs that were extremely out of control when people were entering the house. And she literally did the balanced dog training thing of like, here's where this dog started, here's where this dog ended, right? And showed her work and did really, really phenomenal work. So we got her on. And the point of that conversation wasn't let's look for things we disagree with, right? Like the point of that conversation is I've got a lot of respect for what you're doing, right? You're showing your work. You're showing that you're a highly competent dog trainer. And I don't give a shit how you're training, right? You're getting good results and you got happy customers, right? And I think we were able to really connect that way. And, you know, it helps that, you know, in the internet space, like even when she gets, like she does a lot of like question and answer stuff on Instagram. And even when she gets questions about e-collars and prong collars and stuff, she's not like demonizing them. She's just like, it's just not for me. That's not how I want to train, you know? So, you know, obviously everybody's got different levels of strong beliefs, and how much they kind of stand by them or disagree with certain things and stuff like that.
Sure.
But in her case, we did have some really, really awesome conversations. So
yeah, and I would say because you mentioned, as long as you have a belief and it's a personal belief and it's part of your own self-discipline instead of trying to discipline others, like discipline yourself. Like, and that's the one thing we loved about Sarah Brewski, right? She straight up said, I used to train pinch collars and treasure, but at the time I was becoming a trainer, I had a temper. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that anymore.
Sure.
So she set a boundary and limitation on herself.
Yeah.
And, obviously there's good and bad trainers on both sides, but she set that boundary for herself. And that was it's like being vegan or doing jujitsu. It's like, stop talking about it. I'm trying to preach about it all the time. Just be it. Yeah. And a lot of respect to you. And if you have knowledge and wisdom that you can bring to the table because you've done that, great. I want to hear it. That's awesome. But yeah, I think it's when people get very, not religious about it, but very preachy and trying to convert everybody and then trying to judge everybody. And it's like, you're doing the thing. Yeah. Kind of to your point with Zach George with the negative reinforcement. It's like, you're doing the thing that you fight against, right? Like, you're being you're contradicting yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's all.
There's a term for that I forget what it is, but I'll look it up and I'll text you later. But there's a term specifically meant to depict when somebody is knowingly doing something, but pretending it's something else.
Sure.
And the example was what you gave during the last episode of Zach George is this R+ trainer who's basically using bully tactics to get people to only accept R+ trainers, right? Yeah. Kind of calling out event space coordinators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which could be seen as a sort of a negative reinforcer type thing, right?
Sure.
And kind of holding them hostage, we'll remove all these 1-star reviews if you give me what I want.
Yeah.
Right. So it's I'll remember that term and I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.